Working on that right now.
Ah! You got me. You got me. Welcome back to another episode of the Beer Brackets. Today we're going to be doing one of my favorite beers, one of Alessandro's favorite beers. I know it is. Guinness. So excited for this one. Alessandro, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. But I had a quick question before we start. Do you know what day it is today?
Is it a special day today? I didn't even know.
Yeah, it is. You don't know?
No, what day?
It's a lovely day for a Guinness.
Ah! You got me. You got me. It was there the whole time. It was right in front of me. I completely missed it.
It was standing there creeping on the side, like waiting for this moment.
It was. Well, it worked. You got me, man. It is a lovely day for a Guinness. Guys, if you watched our last review on ABT 12, you know how this works. We're going to go through our 5 points. We're going to give it a final score. We're going to give my score, Alessandro's score, our combined average, and we're going to rate it. How good is Guinness? Let's find out. Should we pour out a little bit into our tasting glass? Go right into the aroma?
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Let's do it. That was beautiful. Oh, love that sound. Got a little bit of a head on the can there. Oh, that's my pint glass. Let's go right into the tasting glass. So, as usual, we're just going to pour out about a third into the glass. We do want to leave some room in the glass there for the aromas to live and breathe. So that gap right there, that's where you're going to stick your nose into and get all those wonderful, beautiful aromas. Sandra, I'm a nice guy. It's a lovely day for a Guinness. I'm going to let you start off. Go for it. Tell me, what do you think about the aromas on Guinness?
That sounds good, man. I am ready. So. Oh, wow.
So
just a second. Look at that color and that's so amazing. There's nothing like Guinness.
Or anything. Just look at this beautiful, beautiful beer.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. I'm excited. I'll say I get immediately that roasted character from the malt. It reminds me instantly of coffee. That's what I think first thing as soon as I put my nose in the glass. That's my predominant aroma I get. I do get a little bit of maltiness, but it's predominantly coffee, roasted coffee. That roasted malt like is coming through, right? A little bit, just slightly a bit of a hops aroma, but it's very subtle. Like roast character is the main thing that I get from it. That coffee, like walking into a coffee shop and you smell it immediately. It's amazing. And yeah, I mean, that's a great aroma. I'd say nice and balanced. It's great for me, so full rating.
You're giving it a full rating. That's interesting. You know what? Before we started this review, I was thinking about what I was going to give each category as a rating. And I was like, how can Guinness not be a perfect beer? And I actually thought, you know what? Maybe I might not give it a full rating on aroma. Because compared to other beers that we've reviewed, like ABT 12, I didn't remember Guinness having such a predominant aroma. I really didn't. But now, especially putting it into a tasting glass with the right shape to really concentrate the aromas, it's blowing me away. I can't believe I forgot how good of an aroma Guinness has. Just like you said, you can smell, it's like you're there while they're roasting the barley. This is what you can smell. It's so predominant, it's so strong, it's so delicious. You smell those oats. You smell. It's like you're in the room with them while they're roasting them. It's incredible. I can't give it anything but great. It's going to get full rating. When you talk about smokiness, we covered the roasted aspect of it. You also have that dark chocolatey aroma there too. So you have the sweetness combined with the roasted element. So the smoky and the sweet, which for me is just the perfect combination. That's a common thread in all my favorite beers, I think, and all these beers that I give perfect ratings to for aroma. It's that combination of dark sweetness and burnt smokiness for me that's just perfect. Full rating for me. Wow.
It's funny how sometimes certain smells can take you right back to certain places. And that I think is what's happening here to me is when I get my nose into this glass, in the tasting glass, I get right back to coffee shop, like certain memories that are just memorable. So that is a sign of perfectness to me.
Well, that's true, right? They say that smell is a sense that's closely linked to memory more than any other scent. So yeah, these things rush back to you as you take in these aromas and these smells. Definitely coffee shop. Funny enough, the thing that comes back to me is actually one, being in a pub that serves a lot of Guinness. That Guinness smell is so particular. I get flashbacks to being in pubs. Also for some reason, being in the Guinness storehouse in Dublin, doing the tour at the storehouse. I think there's that one part of the tour where they cover the aromas. That room that's lit up really bright like a spaceship with those LED lights, and they're letting those mists out into the room, and you can smell the roasted hops, and you walk around from station to station. I'm getting a flashback to that just because the scent was so concentrated there. But really, this makes me think of a pub, like a good old Irish pub.
You nailed it when you said the pub, and especially an Irish pub. It's something that doesn't come across immediately, but I think that if we get into the taste, that's when we're going to get right back there in Ireland, I think.
My mouth is salivating right now. I can't wait for the taste part of this. Just smelling it, it's such a tease. Okay, we got great, perfect ratings across the board so far for Alessandro and myself. Let's move right on to taste. I'll let you go first again. What are you giving it?
Oh my God, it's so difficult to just think about one element because there's so much going on, but I try and focus.
Focus.
Just a second sip, just in case. So I get that roastiness almost immediately, that just right back to bitterness. That bitter character you get in roast, elements that have been roasted. And then there's that sweetness up front as soon as you get a sip of the beer. But then I get that nice crispiness in the finish. This is a beer that is touching a little bit of everything, but in a completely different way compared to the San Bernardus. So sweetness here is a little bit more subtle. I get that roasty character that is right there in the middle of the palate. And then at the end, a little hint of that hops to balance everything else out. So, that's full rating for me.
Full rating. Well, okay. I'm going to take my first taste here. Taking a deep, deep sniff. It's like you're tasting something that's freshly baked out of the oven. It's so unbelievably delicious, like freshly baked bread. It's just incredible. You get the smokiness, you get the sweet elements. There is that bitterness. It ends with the hops, right? Which is, like you mentioned, I have never tasted a beer like this before that started off with such a strong, unique, distinct flavor, such as the roasted barley, and then goes right into the bitterness of the hops. But you don't taste the bitterness until the end, which is going to get into the finish. We won't talk about that too much now. But oh my God. Guinness, it's classic, it's iconic for a reason, but that taste, it's one of a kind. It's so distinct. That's another thing. I cannot think of another beer that replicates this. I've tried some porters before that were kind of approaching it in terms of style, but nothing quite does it like Guinness. It's getting a great full ratings for me as well. Full ratings across the board again. What do we got next?
We kind of have to take a second sip here, or third, depending on, just to make sure that we're settled on that. What do you think?
If we absolutely have to, we absolutely have to. I'm gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
Just for dramatic effect,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pour out the rest of this baby.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. But can't think of another beer that has this type of mouthfeel. It's so unique. It's something that I sometimes find myself craving specifically for, because the fact that they're using nitrogen brings in that creaminess that almost like is elevating all of the other tastes that you have while you're drinking it. So that plus the incredible experience I'm getting in my mouth and the amazing aroma, it's just a perfect combination. So I'm sorry to say, but this is great beer for me. So I'm gonna give it like a 3 for mouthfeel.
We don't rate everything perfect, guys. I promise. We're just starting off with our favorites. This is why. But you know what? You're right when you said that you crave the mouthfeel of Guinness. There is no other beer whose mouthfeel I crave like Guinness. You crave that creaminess, the roasted taste, along with that creaminess, how it feels in your mouth. It's relatively low carbonation, right? You have other beers like we talked about, St. Bernardus' ABT 12 on our last review. That has more of a carbonation effect in your mouth. You can feel those bubbles breaking down. This is all about the creaminess and the mouthfeel. And then it ends with the bitterness of the hops. And so you can feel the bitterness on your tongue immediately after that creaminess kind of dissipates. It's something so unique. It's something that you crave. Interesting enough, and I want to do a comparison episode one day. Hopefully once COVID is over and once we can travel around and once we can actually get out to a pub together in person where we can get some really good Guinness on draft, I would love to do a comparison of can, bottle, and draft Guinness side by side to compare the differences, because there are differences in all three. And please do not drink Guinness out of a bottle. Always out of a can if you can. That's my rule number one when it comes to Guinness. I would love to do a comparison one day. But mouthfeel, great. Full ratings across the board for myself as well.
Well, that leaves us just with the last of the sensory experience before we get into the overall impression. While Joe was talking about his opinion on the mouthfeel, I was taking sips, as you've probably noticed, and I was trying to think, like, what's that thing that I taste right after? Because yes, you do get that bitterness, but here's the thing that at least I taste. After that bitterness that is there, but it's not unpleasant. It's more of a crispiness that refreshes your palate and makes it ready to get another sip. So it's almost inviting you back into the glass, which I love. But at the very end, I get that flavor of roastiness, just like a little hint, which is amazing because it's almost inviting you again to say, hey, you tasted me earlier, do you remember? Like, you need to take another sip to refresh it. So it's almost like an infinite cycle, which is, I mean, to me, that's fantastic. And this is truly a beer that invites you to take another sip. So you finish a pint, well, you're ready for the next one.
You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. It rotates. It starts off, in terms of the finish, right after you swallow that sip, the roastiness is there for a second, and for me, it goes right into the bitterness. And the bitterness lingers, but in a great way. You have some unbalanced beers where you can say the aftertaste lingers in a bad way. This lingers in such a good way. It's the most soft, faint sense of bitterness on your tongue. I think it's how the hops are meant to be tasted. Hops are bitter, right? Bitterness is not a negative thing by any stretch of the imagination. Hops as a flavor are bitter. You taste the hops, you taste the bitterness, it lingers on your tongue, but in the best way possible. It's not overly strong. Like, I think you're the same way, Alessandro, and some people out there who are beer fans might hate me for saying this. I'm not a huge IPA guy. I can appreciate a good IPA here and there. I don't crave them. It's not my favorite. I'm not a fan of being overwhelmed with hops. This is the perfect way to taste hops. It's the perfect way for hops to be present in an aftertaste and on a finish. Great for me, full marks. It goes from slight roasty bitterness with the hops right back to the roasty. And it ends with that savoriness of the roasted flavor that just makes you want to go back and take another sip. So full marks across the board.
It was a full mark for me as well. So 3 out of 3, great finish for me, absolutely.
All right, so our last category is overall. If you have 4 perfect scores, how can your overall be anything different? We got another perfect beer, my friends. Ring the perfect beer alarm. One day I want to get an actual perfect beer alarm. I could pull on a string and just explode.
Yes, you need that. We're working on that right now.
I know you will. I know that mentioning it now, you're going to start working on this. And 3 weeks from now in the mail, I'm going to get a perfect beer alarm. I can sense it. I cannot wait for the day where we get to go to a pub together, specifically in Ireland. Because we will. If this channel brings us anything, it's going to reunite us in Ireland one day. And we are going to go, we're going to search out the best Guinness on tap that we can possibly find. I already have some ideas of where to go.
That's a very good goal, and I like it because, you know what, even if we don't find the perfect pint, the process of finding it is going to be so much fun.
You know what they say? It's all about the journey, man. It's not the destination. All about the journey.
Couldn't have said it better.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Alessandro, my friend, cheers. Enjoy the rest of your Guinness, guys. We're going to shut off these cameras and just chit-chat a little bit and finish our Guinness here and have a good old time. Thanks for joining us for another review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know, what do you think of Guinness? Do you prefer it in a can? If you're upset by my comment about not liking people who drink it out of a bottle, prove me wrong. Tell me why it's better in a bottle than in a can. Let me know. Guys, cheers. Take care. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to close the beer brackets.